In this video, I'm going to talk about something called schema. Right now, I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to try to explain to you why it is very important to pay attention to it. And then I'm going to show you some tools that you can use towards the end of the video on how to implement it on your site or your client's sites with ease. So here is what schema is. Have you ever done a Google search and you might maybe search for a product and you see these stars here and there's a rating there, or maybe off to the side there's all this specific product information, a product image, some of the specs of a particular product, and then you scroll down and you have this top stories where there's a variety of websites and their content is featured in a prominent way like this. Or when you scroll down, maybe there's just some other random site with some review stars in the Google search engine results. All of these are examples of schema. Maybe you have searched for some concert tickets, and if you type in a search and you scroll down, there's these links here to specific events for this particular concert that you might be looking for. This is another example of schema, and here's actually a better example where it lists the dates and it lists the event venue locations. This also is schema. Let me show you another potential scenario. I'm a big fan of something called sous vide. I cook a lot of times this way, so maybe you type in sous vide recipe and you scroll down and you're wondering, how do these get these review stars and the cook time and all of this additional information? This is schema. Okay, and lastly, maybe you or a web designer or a web developer, or you're searching for that and you scroll down and you look at all of these websites. Not one of them has a schema. Why? I have no idea, because it is so easy to add and implement to your website. And this is one of those services, if you're a web developer, that you can add to your clients' websites, maybe charge them additional fee in order to implement this on their website. Imagine if someone was doing this search and they scroll down, which one would stand out? Probably the one that might have some schema and might be showing some review stars along with it. All of these are examples of schema. And now you might be thinking that schema really isn't that important. And I just, in this video, want to impress upon you the importance of having schema in your website. Every single website you touch needs to have schema. And I'm going to go through some of the misnomers of schema, some of the misunderstandings people have about it. They think they already have it, but they really don't. I'm going to go through all of those in this video. Now, before I get too far in this video, I want to introduce myself. My name is Adam from WPCrafter.com, where I release a ton of content to help you get better results with WordPress faster. If you're new here, consider clicking on the subscribe button. If you don't want to miss a thing, click on the bell, and anything that I talk about in this video will be linked in the video description down below. Okay, so if I haven't already impressed upon you the importance of this thing called schema, and I want to show you that even though you might think you have it, you might not have it, let me even pile on some future way of looking at the need and importance for schema. There was a recent article on Search Engine Journal, and I recommend, if you have a website or you're making websites for people, you should really follow what some of these search engine related authority sites are talking about. And I came across this article actually just a few days ago, and it talks about the importance of voice search and how you need to start thinking along the lines of your website and how it's going to mesh in with voice search. And I was also listening to a video last week, a very forward-thinking guy named Gary Vaynerchuk was saying how really the future is voice, it's not video. And his reasoning was you can listen to things, you can use voice when you're doing other things. You don't have to be focused on it. So voice is really important, especially with these devices that are coming out. And essentially what schema is code that gets added to your website to better communicate the specifics of what your website and your content is about for Google or various other search engines that choose to look at the schema and process it. So that's kind of in a nutshell what schema is. And when you think about voice search is heavily dependent upon proper schema. That's the only way Google is really going to know what your content is about. And so when you read this article, it tells you the importance of this thing called voice search. And then when you scroll down, it gives some suggestions. And what does it say right here? Use schema markup on your content. It's super important. So it's not just about having listings in Google and them be a little more eye-catching. It's about more than that. It's about voice search in the future, giving Google or any search engine as much information about your website and your content as possible. I don't know about you. I think this holiday season of gift giving, some of the biggest gifts that are going to be going out are these. Google Home, these little devices you put in your house and you can talk to it, ask it things, and it gives you information. It's going to give you information based upon schema. I use the Echo devices, Amazon Echo. I love it. I have these throughout the house. These are using this schema. Okay, so, all right, now that I've gone over schema and the importance of schema, I want to talk about the misconception people have about it, because you might say, well, I'm using the Genesis theme, and if you go to the website, it says that there's a schema in it, so I'm covered. Or I'm using XYZ theme, it says I have schema, so I'm covered. And I'll tell you, you're actually not covered with the type of schema that I'm talking about. Schema actually is doing lots of things. It's communicating to Google or the search engines the structure of your website. So a theme is going to have schema in it that's, well, a well-coded theme is going to have schema in it. But what this schema is, it's going to say, okay, Google, here is the header on my website. Okay, Google, here is the menu on my website, and here's the sidebar on my website. It basically just says, Google, here is the structure of my website, but there is no information about the actual content of your website. So if you are using Genesis theme or Astra theme or any of these themes and they say it has schema in it, that schema is very important, but it's not going as far as you need. It's not giving enough schema about the actual content. It's just covering structure. Now, I personally have been using various schema solutions for WordPress for as long as I've had a website, the last 5 years for sure. I've purchased many different schema solutions, and some are okay, but they're pretty clunky when you're actually inside of WordPress, and there is a lot of double entry and manual entry. So for example, a recipe here, there's like this double entry. So say you have all the recipe details in the content of a blog post, then you have to re-enter all of those recipe details in an option box below it so that the schema can be generated. And that's pretty tedious, especially if you might have some kind of custom solution on your website. I made a video a couple days ago, or a week ago now, about implementing custom post types, custom fields using something called pods. So there's a lot of double entry going on, and then you start having a cluttered experience inside of WordPress when you're trying to create content, and that's where you need it to be uncluttered as much as possible. So you kind of have all these things kind of working against you. Now, there is a new plugin that just came out. I've actually been using it. I really implemented it on my website over the past weekend, but I've been testing it for the past few weeks. And here it is. It is called AllinOne Schema Pro, and here is the website. Now, this is actually made by the same people that make the Astra theme and the Ultimate Add-ons series of software, and they actually have a lot of expertise in this. They have been building schema plugins for the past 4 years, and they're in the WordPress repository with, I think, maybe like 80,000 active installations. So they know about schema, and they learned everything from the free plugin they released to create this, I think, a masterpiece of simplicity for what's called All-in-One Schema Pro. Now, I'm going to show you implementing this plugin on your website, how easy it is, but it's actually so easy you could come to the website here and see the different types of schema and how to implement it. It's so easy, but I wanted to actually show you because there's some options that might not be communicated well enough on the website. So when you come to their website right here, I'll have a link in the video description below, but you can go to WPCrafter.com/Schema Pro, no hyphen, and right here are the some of the different schema types that you can implement with this right now. So there's article schema. So that is what you'd want to apply to all of your pages and posts, pretty much all of your content. Recipe schema, course schema, event schema, local business schema, review schema, product, and books. But there's actually a few more. These are the only 8 that they're showing on their homepage right here. Now, what's nice and what I like is I can go ahead and click on any of these and it shows you how easy it is to implement. So for article schema, when I click on it, it takes me to a page here with a little bit of information, an example of what the schema looks like in Google search results, and then right here, the 3 steps to implement it. It's literally so easy, and I really went through and I implemented all sorts of schema on my website this prior weekend. And you can go here to schema types and you can see all the various schema types that it supports. Now, what's nice is they are adding additional schema types to this over time. So as new schema types come out that are in demand, they will add it to the plugin. So you can see right here, job posting schema, software application, book schema, all of these different schemas. So here's what a book schema looks like. You can click on it and you can see this is what it looks like when you're in the Google search engine results. It'll show the author, published, and pages. So it's just all of this additional information that you're able to communicate to Google about the content on your website, and it couldn't be easier. Let's take a quick look at the pricing and then let's install and implement and test some schema. And I'm going to show you how to test the schema, which is nice because you can test the schema that you currently have on your website. So if I click on pricing, this was just released. It's $59 for an annual license, or you could just buy a lifetime license. It's $199. I'll tell you, the schema plugins that I've purchased over the years, one of them was $400 for a lifetime license. So I know $199 is a bargain, and especially when I show you how slick this is to implement it, it's a really good deal. Especially if you have customers or clients, you're building websites for people, this is just something that you can use to differentiate you and your expertise, because you know your competitor that might be charging $500 less, they're not doing this. So if you get any pushback on the cost of your website development, this is one of those things where if you go with me, you're getting it done the right way. If you go with them, it's just going to be whipped together, thrown together, and it's going to actually harm them in the long run. So $59 and $199, and this is super developer friendly. You're going to see it works with custom fields. It's pretty spectacular. Now here's some actual good news about the price is if you have the Astra theme and you have an agency license, right here is the Astra theme. I've talked about it many times on the channel. It actually includes this plugin. It was added to the agency bundle with Astra. So if you're already an agency license holder, which I am, you don't have to pay anything. It's just included. They added that value. The Astra agency bundle comes with the Astra theme. It comes with Convert Pro, the premium sites, the various ultimate add-ons, and future plugins that this developer makes. And they also have a lifetime license available. If you're interested in Astra, just visit WPCrafter.com/Astra to check that out. And I have a ton of content on Astra. So enough about the product. Let me just show you this thing in action. Now, I have this site that I used for a tutorial not that long ago where I showed you a full 3-hour tutorial on how to make this website, and it's using the Astra. It's using one of their starter sites, and it was very easy to put together. So here I am logged into the back end. I'm going to go to Plugins, Add New. I've already downloaded the plugin, so I'll just go ahead and upload it really quick. It's very lightweight. It's only 300 kilobytes in size, so it's a very light plugin. I'm going to go ahead and activate it. Now, let me just do a quick refresh here. All right, so one of the things I like right off the bat is they put the option underneath the settings. Actually, it's an option. You can, by default, it goes underneath the settings, but you can have it be on the main list, menu list here. I hate when it's all cluttered, so I like it to go in settings. So here it is, Schema Pro. I'll go ahead and click here. So I haven't turned on any schema yet. Now there's some advanced settings for you as well. So in the toolbar, when you're viewing a page on the front end, it's going to add an option here that's going to say test schema. So let me see. I don't have any schema implemented yet. Let me do a quick refresh here. Here it is, test schema. So you can leave that there, or you can have it be disabled if you don't want to see that in your toolbar. Next, you have all these placement options. So by default, it goes into the settings panel, but you can put it wherever you want. And there's this option here of where you want this schema code added, and we'll just leave that where the setting is. So first, let's test our schema. Now, Google provides a schema testing tool. So what you can do when you have this plugin installed is you can test your existing schema by clicking right here. It'll open up in a new tab on the tool's website, and it will automatically populate the URL and do the quick search. So these are the types of schema that I'm already getting by default with the theme. Remember, I said your theme, a well-coded theme, will have some structural schema, and that's very good, but it doesn't get you all of what you need. So here's the different schema types that come with your theme, and you can click into it. So if I click into here, this is what the schema is. So basically this one's just communicating to Google, here's our logo, and here is our URL, and it's an organization. Here's the WP head, and this basically tells Google additional information, and all these things are just giving Google additional schema information. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out, and let's implement some schema on our website. So I'm going to go back and click on schemas, and then I'm going to click on add new, and this is one thing I like about this plugin, you know, because some of this stuff could be a little on the complicated side, and they took a real complicated process and simplified it, made it real easy. So here's the different schema types that the plugin currently has. They're all available right here. So say I want to add let's add a review schema. So I'm going to click on review, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And then the next step is, where do you want this schema applied? So in this situation, I'm going to put it only on blog posts. So I'm choosing all posts. Now I can add additional locations by clicking add enable rule, or I can add exclusions where I don't want it to apply. Now, for most people, you'll just have the same schema on most locations. But say you have events. You don't want events, the option box, to appear all over the place. You want it just where the event's content is going to be. And so that's why you have these advanced targeting rules. So I'm just going to go with this right here, and then I'm going to click next. And now I'm ready, so I can go ahead and click on complete setup. It's going to take me back to the back end of WordPress. So right here, it names the schema. Now, what I did when I implemented this on my website, I have some review schema, but I have different configurations in different parts. So what I did is I would name it review for blog posts, review for XYZ. So you can stick with this name, just review, because we're going to see a list of all the schema we made. But if you wanted to just have a different schema for posts and a different schema for pages, it might be nice to just change the title to kind of put some location information there as well. So I'll just put for posts just to make it simple. Okay, so now that that's added, right here, you're always going to be able to come back and change the location that you apply this to, so you're not stuck with what you set up in the wizard. It was just to pre-configure this. So right here is where the power of this plugin really comes into play. So for review schema, you need these different fields of information: the name of the item that's being reviewed, the image of the product, the description, the date of the review, the actual rating, and that's a 5-star scale, and the name of the reviewer. So what we could do here is, if you're a developer and you're maybe applying this to a custom post type and all that information's already in some custom field you created, well, you can map these different fields to where you know the information already is. So for example, the review description, by default, it's just going to assume that it's in the content of your blog post. So you don't have to put some info in your blog post and then you have to double entry put it into this review schema. It's going to pull it from there. The same thing goes for the review date. It just is linked up to the publish date of the blog post. The same goes for the reviewer name. Now, what's nice is we can change this. So say the title of the blog post is going to be the name of the product you're reviewing. So there's no sense in having this double entry going on, since I know that I can change this to the title of the post right there. So that's one less piece of information that there's going to be some double entry for. So the same thing for the review item image. Say I know that I'm going to have that be the featured image on my blog post. So I can set it to featured image or a specific image. So if I chose this, I could just choose a specific image in my image library. And there's other options here. So I could just say featured image. We set content with this. Now, all we're left for a review rating is the actual scale from 0 to 5. Now, if you're a developer and you already have this in a custom field, you can go to select other custom field here, or in this case, I'll let it create a new custom field for me. So now I'm going to click on update, and now I'm going to go jump into creating a blog post. Now, actually, before I do that, let me click back here, and you can see here's that schema. I can go here and change it at any time, delete it, and all of the different schemas that I create, they're all going to be listed right here. Actually, let me create one more type of schema that's very important. It's article schema for blog posts. This will be a lot easier. Let me click on add new, and I'm going to choose article schema. Let me click on next, and I'll apply this everywhere to all the content on the website. I'll click on next and click on complete setup. And here are those same fields, but all of these fields are already going to be pulled from the content. You can see you don't have this double entry. So this is, for article type, I'm going to change this to blog post. That's the only thing I want changed. So news article is that timely news. So when you do the Google search and it shows those big, prominent news articles 3 hours ago, 6 hours ago, stuff like that, that would be your news article. I'm going to just stick with blog posting right here. And all this information is already in the blog post. Let me click on update. All right, so now I'm going to go to posts, and I don't think I have any existing posts, just this Hello World one. Let's just click into it and see what this is looking like. So far, it looks like a normal blog post. I've got my title, I've got my description, and when I scroll down, this is just my Yoast stuff. Let me just shrink that. And here's what it added, Schema Pro. And here's that option for me to go ahead and add a star rating. So I can just add a star rating right here, or I can manually type it in or put it like that. And that's where the manual info is going to go in. So if I would have left some of those other fields to say create a new custom field, it would have created that and it would be available here. If I also want to have the recipe schema applied to blog posts, so then I'd have review and recipe, then there'll be another option here for each of these different types of schema that I'm adding to the same content type. Because sometimes you say it is a recipe blog, you're going to want review schema and you're going to want recipe schema. You're going to want both of it. And there might be another type of schema that you want added. So these schemas don't replace each other. They just stack together. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to create a new blog post and I'm going to go ahead and fill this out myself. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added a title, which is also going to be the product name, and I added a description, I added a star rating, and down here you can see I added a featured image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on publish. Now, I don't expect this to look pretty. Obviously, I would put a lot more information. So let's go ahead and click on view post right here. So here we go. Here we are with everything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Test Schema, and let's see what Google is showing us with their data testing tool. So you can see right here, I have a lot of that same schema, but what we have that's new is this review. So when I click on it, you can see all of the information. So right here we have type, we have description, which was just from the post content, and we have the product name, we have the image to the product, we have the rating and the star rating. This was all done with this as AllinOne Schema Pro plugin. And you can see right now I must have screwed something up for the blog posting. This wasn't here and I just added it. Let's click on it and see what the heck this error is. So when I scroll down, it looks like I have a problem with my logo. Let's see, my logo height has an invalid value. Okay, so I'll have to go and fix that. But you can see how you can come here and test the schema, add schema to your site, add schema to your content, then come here and test that schema. And then what's going to happen next is the next time Google comes to your website to index it, it's going to take this new information, this deeper information it has on your content, and add it to the search engine results, most likely. Now, with the review stars, they don't add it to every piece of content sometimes. So in my experience, I can usually get it on about 70% of my content. It's never 100%. So it's completely up to Google whether or not they're going to give these enhanced listings to you. It's completely up to them, but you should have the schema on for many different reasons. This is you communicating to Google exactly what your website is about. So that's it. This is AllinOne Schema Pro. If you have any questions about this video and schema, you can ask in the comment section down below. Also, I have links to everything in the video description box. And I also have a user forum on my website. You might not be aware of it. You can go here, click on forum, and you can ask questions to me if there's any question that's not about this video or it's a little bit more technical and you think more people can benefit. Come over to my website, click on the forum button, and go ahead and ask. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.